Barry Smith with the Carolina Journal is here, and you were at the voter ID public hearing. What did you make of it?
Well, there were a lot of people who were against it, who came to speak. I would say they probably outnumbered the proponents of the voter ID 4-to-1, maybe 5-to-1. They were definitely much more organized, and a lot of them said the same thing, but a lot of them brought up different points too. You know, there were people who were older people who had to really fight for the right to vote, or at least were not allowed, used to not even be allowed to vote, and or had to go through, you know, some of the literacy tests and that sort of thing. And you know, they were definitely against it.
If you said 4 to 5-to-1 would be probably 80% would be against it at that particular public hearing. Polls I've seen are almost the opposite. Are the polls wrong, or was this just the motivated turnout of people who don't like voter ID?
I think it was more of that, the motivated turnout. I don't think the polls are wrong. I think a lot of people in the general public, most people that I talk to, you know, hey, I just had to show my ID to buy a beer. I just had to show my ID to get into this building. A lot of people that you talk to, they don't see what's wrong with having to show an ID to vote.
You know, looking at this broader issue and the Republican supermajorities, Barry, they can do what they want.
They can.
Why have a public hearing when when the partisan debate, the party debate is over on this?
It is over. It is always good to give people an opportunity to vent. You know, if you vent, it's better to vent than to have, you know, more serious civil problems. And I think it's a smart move, even though I do think that probably a lot of what's going to be in the bill, they probably already know what's going to be in there. I mean, I know I did a story on this several weeks ago before the session got underway in earnest, and I was talking to Representative David Lewis, and he said, well, there's only so much we can do because we want to make sure what we pass is constitutional and will pass muster. We do not want to spend all this time on a bill and then have it declared unconstitutional and not enforceable.
It sounds like the Republicans are expecting the lawsuit to be filed the minute that bill would become law, if they can get it into law.
Well, they're expecting, and for good reason. There were several people at the public hearing who said, we will file a lawsuit. Now, they said similar things when the Republican majority a couple years ago was doing redistricting, and yes, they filed a lawsuit. There's no reason not to believe that a lot of the opponents will not file lawsuits. They've been filed in other states, and it will happen when it's done in North Carolina. I don't usually guarantee a lot of things, but that's one thing I can guarantee.
Now, looking at both sides, the pro and the con grassroots side of this, the pro voter ID people, very confident?
They're very confident. They think it's going to happen. There's at least a perception that there's a significant amount of voter fraud out there that they're not able to stop, and they feel like that this will at least help identify it, if not prevent it.
Will the opponents of voter ID try to sway this legislation as it's written? Do they wait for it to possibly become law and then try to stop it in court?
Well, I think there will be some efforts to sway it, to make some changes, to maybe lessen the restriction. I doubt that will happen, but you know, that's why they actually do the bill.
In the broad sense, is there any real difference between the House, the Senate, and the governor's vision on voter photo ID?
Well, the governor has said that, you know, he can accept something less than a real strict photo ID, but he's going to let the details be worked out by the General Assembly. I would expect to see that happen. I don't know. There's something that's kind of cropped up which some Democrats have actually pushed, and some people at the public hearing said, if you don't have a photo ID, let them take your photo at the polling place, and then they've got your picture on file if you're voting fraudulently. You know, I don't know the details on how that would be worked out, how expensive that would be, if that's possible. That's one thing that could be worked out in the future.
Barry Smith, Carolina Journal. Google him. Easiest way to find him. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.